poet's worst nightmare because you're actually not allowed to wear all black. You'll be like a floating head in the camera because it's so professional. So thank you to the camera crew and the stage crew and the TEDx crew. You guys are freaking awesome. I'm not allowed to say the F word. I also asked if I could come down with you because I like to be interactive, and I was told, no, I have to stand on a red carpet. And I thought, sweet, red carpet. Okay, so we have 15 minutes, and I can only stand on a red dot looking like an earthquake dot for so long, so let's get started. Unlearning, uncreativity. What the hell? Okay, we are naturally creative, but we learn not to be. Do you know what this is? It's not a Picasso. I played with the angle because at first it kind of looked like it could be something else, which is not what I meant. You guys are dirty. It's called a slibby-do. Whoops, I can't go backwards. You're going to have to remember what it looked like. Can I go backwards? Oh, I can. I can go forward and backwards. A slibby-do. My dad taught me this when I was learning shapes. I would sit next to him, he would draw a circle, I would draw a circle, he would draw a square, I would draw a square, then he drew that, and he told me it was a slibby-do. And when you're kids, everything you experience is brand new, and you listen to what's going on, and I thought, wow, this is an amazing shape. It defies definition. I thought it was awesome until kindergarten, when I was learning shapes, repeating shapes I already learned, and I thought the slibby-do was the most interesting one and realized it wasn't a shape at all. Education conformity. So, how to teach creative writing? This is something that Newton Howard asked me in an Uber yesterday. This is one of the 3 most difficult questions that writers get. How to teach creative writing? Is it impossible? How do you write a poem? We don't know. And how is the exact process? What kind of poetry do you write? Oh, that one's easy, right? We've got a formula: x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Easy. We have no idea. So we have to get into the process. Okay, so we started with the slibby-do. Now we're going to get back to real-world terms. Some of you might have seen this word before. If you've seen this word before, I need you to keep quiet, don't say a word to your neighbor, do not ruin this for them because this is a nice history lesson. The tipper-row. Have you ever seen this word? No. Do you think about what it might be? Adjective, verb, I'll tell you. It's a noun. A tipper-row, noun, proper noun, is a fortified architectural structure first built in Macedonia under Alexander the Great, 4th century BC. You all have a sheet of paper, right? They gave you paper at the door? You need a pencil or a pen or a marker. Guess what you're going to do? You are going to draw a tipper-row for me right now. You're like, what the? Don't worry. I'm going to tell you how to do it because I know what they look like. But we got to be really fast because I got 10 minutes and 36 seconds. Okay, here are the instructions. Right now, I am like school teacher, silence. You can laugh, it's okay. I am going to give you instructions. We are going to draw basic shapes like the slibby-do because it's not an architecture class. You are not allowed to talk when I start giving instructions. And you have to draw with your eyes closed. You think I don't see you, but I see all of you. Okay, I'm going to count down from 5. We're going to get started. Get your pen or your pencil in your hand, eyes closed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get your paper out. You need a pen. The basic structure, eyes closed, of the tipper is a rectangle, a long rectangle. It's longer, wider than it is tall. No talking, but you can laugh. On the right side of this rectangle is a tower. It's taller than the rectangle, like something you would see in a church. On top of this tower, eyes closed, is a triangular roof. Come on, just go with it. You're doing a great job. At the very left side of the tipper is another tower, but this tower is even taller than the one on the right side. It's not fully symmetrical. The left tower is taller. The top of this tower also has a triangular roof. Both of these towers are connected by a large dome, like an arched rainbow. You see these in mosques. Stay with me, you're doing a great job. Okay, back to the main structure. In the very center of the rectangle is a large arched doorway. In the middle of this door is a circular window, a circle in the middle of the door. Okay, you're almost done. This is an isolated structure. It's surrounded by a ring of water, or a moat. Oh boy, yeah, that's right. Okay, you're done. Now look at your tipper routes. Hold them up. Show everybody. Show them to everybody. They're beautiful. Check these out. We're in kindergarten again. We're unlearning. Okay, I'm going to count down from 5 and I need quiet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shh. Why did I have you do this? This shows the process of creativity, of any creative process, whether you're writing, painting. You have an idea about something you don't understand, and once you get into the process, word by word, shape by shape, you are able to create an entire structure, a little world. You open your mind and you create a little world. Do you know why you've never heard of this word? Yeah, because I made it up. You can Google it, there's something close, but it's not a tipper route, but now it is in your mind because brains are so smart. Okay, so you just got inside the creative process. You had no idea where you were going, but you had a starting point, and you had pieces to put together, like language. So we have to unlearn. We have to think like kids. But what if you don't know how to put something on the page? I don't quite know how to put it on the page. This is a quote from a conversation I had with a poet named Frank Bedard, who has been writing poems for over 50 years. He just won the freaking Pulitzer Prize. I don't quite know how to put it on the page. This should make you feel better. This is awesome, because the creative process is the process of discovery. Actually, it's the gap. Now, let's talk about unlearning something. Poetry. How many people are intimidated by poetry? Be honest. How many people, when you were like 4 years old, you were like, oh, poetry's so tough, man? Maybe some of you, but were you analyzing your nursery rhymes? Were you told that you had to understand your nursery rhymes one way and then write a 10-page paper about it? No. Education. A lot of times the way we are taught to understand poetry, it scares people, but it doesn't scare kids at all. I asked a 3-year-old, what's poetry? She said, painting pictures. It's totally true. I read a poem to a 10-year-old about catching a fish and letting it go, and it's kind of a slow poem, and she didn't know all the words, and I told her it's about something so simple that it's almost not worth it, right? So I read it to her, and she looked really bored, and I started feeling down, and then I finished the poem, and she goes, you're right, it's so simple, it's like it's totally not even worth it. And I thought, well, she's 10. And then she goes, but then she makes it worth it. Kids get poetry. Poetry can be approachable, it can be accessible. Now there are those poems that are like little shits. We've all seen them. They're like, I'm smarter than you, try to figure out my rhyme scheme. We know these poems, right? Also in education, we are often taught only dead poets. Dead poets are great. They've lasted centuries. But there are contemporary poets writing the way we speak. I bet there's one poet, those of you who are from Romania, I bet you had to learn this poet's poems, recite this poet's poems. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, you're going to shout the name. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It was a mix-up. I mostly heard the Eminescu though, but I think Eminescu was inflicted on you all the time. For us, it was Shakespeare. I'm going to read you a quick poem that is the opposite. Sometimes a poem can be as simple as a moment. This is a poem by Andrea Cohen, an American poet. It's in a book called Furs Not Mine. The committee weighs in. I tell my mother I've won the Nobel Prize. Again, she says, which discipline this time? It's a little game we play. I pretend I'm somebody. She pretends she isn't dead. What did that do to your brain? Did you have to understand it, or did you just feel it? Did you get confused? You laughed at the beginning, and then you were like, oh shit, it ends with death. But it was conversational. This brings me to poetry is practical. It can be conversational. We can use a poem to get us through a day. My sister was in prison for a while. She told me that writing poems literally got her through some of her days. It can help us through periods of loss. During times of trauma, we return to poems. Who reads a CNN article 25 times after a trauma? I just got to read that article again. We listen to songs. We listen to poems. One of my singer-songwriter friends, she says, Tara, songs are just shitty poems with a hook. Not all of them. Some songwriters write brilliantly. But poetry matters, and it's practical. And it can help you with your profession. It can help you be a better communicator. I'm a game writer. When I write character dialogue, I'm writing little poems. Poetry can help you flirt. Why do you think the sonnet has been around so many years? It's like, hey, check out my grammar. So, I encourage you to get into the process. We're talking about minding the gap this weekend. And the gap is the process. And the process is creation. And creation is discovery. And discovery of any kind is what creates a space for change. So, how to unlearn the creative process? Give yourself permission. Look up. A lot of people don't look up. Look around. Listen. Acknowledge your fears, because we have them. We all have them. Sometimes lawyers like to pretend they don't have fears about writing, but they do. Acknowledge your fears. Challenge your fears. Sometimes we have these things that nag at us. They want us to do something. We think they're impractical. Do them. Are you going to mind the gap? Are you going to mind the gap?
Yes.
Do it. You might find a whole world inside. Thank you.